Okay, you still going? All right. Hey friends, this is your girl T. Marie, and I want you to enjoy Conversations with T. Marie, where I invite some friends to sit down and have a conversation with me, asking questions they've always wanted to ask. I hope you enjoy. You ready? All right. This is T. Marie. I'm here with my friend Laura, and she has some questions for me. What you got, Laura?
Okay. I am interested in strength,
Okay.
especially women's strength.
Okay.
And my impression is that a lot of your strength comes from your relationship with God. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a number of questions about God that may seem very basic to you.
Okay.
But let me explain the frame.
Gotcha. Go for it.
The frame is that I'm a lapsed atheist.
Okay.
And that I've spent a lot of time in the hallowed halls of the ivory towers leftist elites.
Okay.
And I think that we have done America an injustice
Okay.
by leaving God sometimes to be defined by the right,
Okay.
the far, far right, who sometimes implies that God, says it's okay to hate people sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why it's fascinating to me that you have such a strong relationship, or at least it appears to me that you have such a strong relationship with God.
Right.
So what's your very first memory of God?
Wow. Coming from a family of ministers, I can't remember a time not being aware of God. But I would say probably my first feeling of I personally know there's a God, I probably was around 7. And we were going through, it was a lot going on at home. A very kind of unstable time in my family. And I remember having this sense of, is everything going to be okay? Like this worry of, okay, we're going to have to move again. Are we going to have food tonight? Are the lights going to get cut off?
Right.
Things a 7-year-old should
Right.
not be
Right.
concerned with. And I remember having a dream, and in the dream, God was in the form of a tree. And it was I was scared at first, but then I had this sense of calm because I felt like God was the tree. And basically in the dream, he picked me up and put me on his shoulders, which were branches. And basically was like, you're going to be okay if you trust me. And I just felt complete calmness about it. And to this day, I love being in spaces with a lot of trees because it reminds me of that dream. And that was kind of like, there at 7, I don't need anybody to explain to me. You don't have to convince me. I know there's a God because I know how much in fear I was at that age. And to wake up from that dream and just have a sense of calmness, I knew I had an encounter.
Yeah.
And I think that was just the form that he chose to show himself to me in. There was a film, and the name of it slips me at the moment, but in the film it had a lot of trees in it, and they were like these talking trees and stuff like that. And that was always, for some reason, I attached to that. So I think because of the funness of that film, that was maybe why he revealed himself to me in that way. So that's kind of for me when I knew.
So my impression of you is that you have, at least since I've known you, always had a direct relationship with God.
Right.
It hasn't necessarily gone through another human being.
Right.
But when you were younger and you were learning what God was, who was the most important person to you that helped you understand what God was?
It would be my mom, because at the time she was a minister. She was pastoring a church. And so all of that initial, I guess you could say, Bible teaching and kind of deciphering what this scripture means over what this scripture means over what it means for your life came from her. So all of that direction came from her. And what I appreciate about my mom is that she was very direct. She wasn't that parent that didn't know something and pretended she did just to give you an answer. It was like, I don't know. I have no idea.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know if that was because she was just a young parent and was like, I'm gonna just be honest with my kid and tell you what I know and what I don't. But I think that served me properly because I didn't have this false notion that she knew it all.
Right.
And I think sometimes parents create these scenarios where they set themselves up as, I know every answer for my child. And then your child gets to an age of where they start realizing, well, mom, dad, that wasn't really accurate. When you just could have been honest and said, I didn't know. And so she was very open about that and allowed me to ask questions. So she didn't shy away from me asking something that she may not have had the answer to, but she welcomed it and said, you know what, I don't know. Maybe if you pray about it, God will help you find the answer. Yeah.
Did you tell her about your tree dream?
Yes, I did. I think she was the first person. Probably. I don't think I've shared it with many people, so it's a treat. But cause I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I don't think I've ever really shared that with anybody. But yeah, I told her about it, and she felt like, I feel like we had a conversation around, you have to define and build your own relationship with God. And if he's dealing with you at 7, then for her, it was like, you're doing pretty good because you're having an encounter earlier in life than most people do. And I really appreciate it because looking back over my life, I've been through so many things that I could easily say that was unfair, that sucks. Why me? I probably did say those things in the midst of going through. But I always had this sense of it will work out eventually. And I've always felt like, not that God did this or God caused it. I've never had that mindset, but I felt like eventually he was going to make it make sense.
I think it's so interesting that your mother was a minister when, you know, some branches of Christianity wouldn't allow a woman to be a minister. And then she went on to empower you to have your own direct relationship with God. Have you encountered people or ministers who try to hold on to that power and don't want to share that relationship with God with people?
Yeah, I come from a family of ministers, and I think people have, the people closest to me have, I've seen that. And growing up in church and that close up on ministry, I always think it's a different vantage point when you're just a parishioner. When you're just going and you don't have any responsibilities, you can define how you interact with your fellow churchgoers and all that. When you're a child of the minister, that puts a totally different spotlight, an unwanted spotlight, something you just get by default. And I've watched, because my mom and her siblings, for the most part, all of them are ministers. My grandfather, her father was a minister, and you're talking about different denominations. So I'm growing up non-denominational, faith church. I have a family members that are Baptist, family members that are Southern Baptist, family members that are Pentecostal. So you're going to church with so-and-so, you can't wear pants, you have to wear a dress. You're going to church with so-and-so, this is the rules for that. And so trying to decipher, well, if we all serve God, why are the rules different? Why can't, I know auntie preaches, but she can't stand in the pulpit? That doesn't make sense. You know, so having all those questions and trying to decipher, she welcomed those. I was that rogue kid in growing up that I would ask, okay, so why you can't make the announcement up there like they do it at my church? You know, so I was always open and willing to ask those questions, whether I got an answer or not. But I think it's sad and it does God a disservice because all it is man's own issues within themselves that they haven't worked out. And let me try to find a scripture that supports how I feel about this to control these people. And that's what I think has been a disservice and has given God a bad rap because man has intervened with their own issues.
I agree.
Yeah.
So when you feel your connection with God getting weaker, what do you do to strengthen that again?
Not for me. Usually listening to music because if it's weaker, I feel like I have either depleted a lot of energy doing something or working on something, or maybe have gone into a thought process or something that I shouldn't be chasing, worrying about something. So usually music, I have a playlist of kind of encouraging songs that I know, okay, you're a little off, you know, I need some answers, and I have that playlist that I kind of go back to, and that kind of helps center me and helps me get quiet to kind of hear from God. Yeah.
Did you ever feel like you were at risk of losing the connection?
I've never felt like I was at risk of losing it. I did encounter issues where I wrestled with putting it down. So I always knew my relationship with God was based on what effort I put in. And I've always felt like he's near me, but I know I can change that. I'm the only one that can shift that. So based on how I'm seeing or viewing a situation, I got the option to say, okay, God, I need more help with this. Strength, send me an encouraging word, something, or to completely turn away and turn my back on it. Clearly, you trying to screw me over, so I'm done. So I think we're all faced with that challenge, and some choose to walk away, and some choose to embrace. But yeah, I think I've been at places going through my health issues was one place where I really felt like giving up, and it was to the point that I was like, if I give up, then I'm fine with not being here. And so I think a lot of times people go through things, and because we have free will, when we don't understand when somebody has decided to stop fighting, we blame God, not understanding that that person themselves had a choice. So one of my best friends, and it's taken a lot for me to deal with this, I found out she passed on Facebook. And I was pissed because, one, we kind of had the same belief in God. We're very encouraging, you know, how we viewed the Bible. You know, we went to seminary together, is where we met. And for her to have a major health crisis and not to tell me when I was planning to go visit anyway. And I think I talked to her 2 weeks before she passed. And I got pissed because I was like, how you just go die like that? You believe the same way I believe. You were there when I was going through my health challenges and all the encouraging things. And I was mad because, one, you didn't allow me to be there for you. Two, you just gave up. Why? When you were encouraging me not to give up. And three, you just didn't let me be there. And I felt like, you know how we feel and believe on these things, why would you give up? And after praying about it, it was just like, she had a choice. And even though my choice for her was different than what her choice was for her. And so that took some getting used to and acceptance. And then like months later, another friend found out she had a health challenge that was major and decided she no longer wanted treatment. And her passing, and I was like, we believe the same things, but I had to accept the fact that just like I had a choice to say, I can continue to fight this, or I can just let it go. They made their choices, and for whatever reason, they felt that was what was best for them. And I just had to deal with going through life and experiencing things, and my friends wouldn't be there. And that was probably the hardest.
That we can't impact everyone's path in the way that
we can't. We want to.
We want to.
I want my friends to be here. It's hard. It's very difficult. Me visiting New York, because that's where my friend lived, and certain things that I accomplish is heartbreaking to me, and I'm fighting back tears now because I'm like, I wish she was here to experience this. These are the things we talked about doing and enjoying, and knowing that my friend is not there. Her cell phone number is still in my phone. You know, her email address is still in my email, and things happen, and I'm like, I want to tell Cynthia about this, and knowing that she's gone, but she just has a different view of what's going on in my life. So,
and was she there for you when you had your health scare?
Yeah, she was there, very encouraging. You know, T, you got work to do, and so to get through that and be able to. And I remember after I got better, I went to New York and we hung out and celebrated, and then to find out your friend is gone on social media, no explanation, no nothing. And it was like, so it was very difficult, but processing it, understanding we all got free will and we all have the choice of how long we choose to fight and what we will fight.
And that our power as friends is limited.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We can encourage and we can be a support, but if somebody decides they're done, all I can do is still love them, So it took a minute to work through that, and I was still consider that my best friend, her my best friend, but, that was a choice she made.
So my last question, if she were a superhero and you were a superhero, what kind of superheroes would you be?
We would probably be them terrible Wonder Twins. Like, I don't think we would get anything fully accomplished. We would be turning into random stuff just to make each other laugh. It's like form of, talking giraffe, just to be silly. So I think we would be the superheroes that actually accomplished nothing, but we made each other laugh. That would be me and her.
Which is powerful.
Which it is. It is. You keep each other encouraged in what you're going through. So that would be me and Cynthia. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was some deep questions.
I know. You knew what you were getting into with me.
I did. They were good though. Okay. So you got a bonus?
That was it. My superhero question was my bonus.
That was your bonus?
I can make up something, but
yeah, go ahead and make up some since you've been all deep and sentimental.
Okay. All right. So, what is the most embarrassing moment that you've had in your life?
Most embarrassing moment. Wow. I can't think of one. I can't think of one that I was.
You have never been embarrassed?
I don't think that I was never embarrassed, but something that was just like impactful enough for it to stick out in my memory. I mean, that time I tried to jump that ditch on my dirt bike and hit the car instead. That was bad. I was more upset that I didn't make the jump.
Not the pain.
Not the pain, no.
Didn't succeed in that jump.
Yeah, that was bad because I busted my knee open.
Oh.
Yeah, I still have the scar today. So I was probably embarrassed that I missed that jump after making it a few times. But
because you believed in yourself.
Oh, I knew I was. Man, I thought I was Evel Knievel. Embarrassing moment. Yeah, got nothing.
That's it? Okay.
That's it.
All right. I'm good with that.
Oh, cool. Good questions, though.
All right.
Very thoughtful.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Boom. Oh, man. She asked me about God and all that.
I know. I went there. Oh, I'm attached. Okay.